Everything in the entire universe is in a constant state of change. Everything changes but you, God. You are always the source of all power, goodness, and love. And you are always willing to share with us any and everything we need, if only we believe. So today, just believe that God is always there for us, and your change will occur. Hallelujah and amen.
Great. Thank you. Good morning.
The Carl Nelson Show.
Thank you.
Good morning, Wake Up Squad. Thanks for getting up with us again. Later, Black politics expert Dr. James Taylor will discuss if the tide is turning in the Democrats' favor as we head into the midterms. Dr. Taylor will examine if the abortion issue has tipped the scales. Dr. Taylor will also talk about the fact that 25% of Brian Kemp's support in Georgia is coming from blacks under the age of 35. But before we talk politics with Dr. Taylor, financial expert J.B. Bryan is here again. J.B., good morning. Welcome back.
It's great to be back. Good morning to you. It's Money Monday, huh?
That's right. It's Money Monday. Let's make some money it is Monday.
That's what got us up out of bed today. Thinking
That's
about
right.
that money.
Thought of making some money, at least make some sort of advances. But the talk is about the recession, and then we had all these reports that came out Friday implying that the recession isn't here. It isn't really a recession. But we still, when we go to the stores, we still see higher prices. How do we deal with all this confusion?
Yeah, and I think that it's important that we think about our own personal financial situation, because through our own personal assessment of what is a recession for you, have you progressed financially? Like, because a recession is really a slowdown financially. So when the government has to go out of its way to say that we're not in a recession, so they're going to make sure that they present any numbers that they can to say that we're not slowing down. So the numbers that were shown were really showing that there's a lot more people that are working part-time. When you really look deeper into the numbers, it really suggests that there's a lot of people who are in a financial crisis, because there are people who are being forced, like it's called involuntarily working part-time, who want to work full-time but have to take these part-time jobs, or their full-time job is only allowing them to work part-time. So when they say more people are working, yes, more people are working, but they're working part-time and they want to work full-time, or their people are working 2 jobs than ever before. So if that's happening to you, or have you found that you're working, but you're working harder than ever before? Are they doing layoffs at your job? Have the bonuses that used to exist at your job been cut back? Are you making less money than you were if you adjust your income for inflation? Have you been getting the appropriate adjustments? Like, even if you did that with inflation, with Social Security, if you adjusted for the cost of living, the amount of money that people are being paid for their Social Security is not appropriate for the people who have been retired for the last 10, 20 years getting their Social Security checks, they'll tell you that they have not been appropriately been paid their Social Security. And now the people who have retired in the last 2 or 3 years and who have started their Social Security, they're delighted because they have been getting good adjustments in their Social Security. But the people before that, there were years where they almost got no adjustment in their Social Security check, but the cost of things were constantly getting higher. So, so when you aren't getting the raises that you need in order to maintain your style of living, that's a personal recession.
Right. Well,
Yes.
that's all right there,
Mhm.
JB. Since you
Mhm.
mentioned raises, and it's 4 after the top there, JB, is this a good time to go into the boss and ask for a raise?
It's always a good time for you to ask the boss for a raise. I think that we need to increase our confidence there, but an even better way to get a raise is that you need to become confident about switching jobs. When you look at the research, and I know that we're uncomfortable with this, but the research shows that people who change jobs are the people who actually make more money over their career. If you stay at the same job, you're more likely to not make more money or make the maximum amount of income over your career. But if you are willing to change jobs, that's when you actually make the biggest pay raises. Isn't that something though? So if you want
Yeah, I can attest to that. I've seen, if you're on a job
Mhm.
and somebody comes in after you, they're making more money than when you started.
Yes. And especially during this pandemic, there are so many people who came in and are making so much more than the people who actually stayed through the pandemic at those current jobs that are doing so much better than the people who really kept the company together, which is sad. But the people
So how
that
do you
came,
deal with that?
mhm.
You just have to, as Magic Johnson, you just gotta sup it up. Is that how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's pretty much because you decided to stay. And you could have decided to go somewhere else, but you decided to stay, but you because you didn't want to take that risk. I mean, there are, if nothing else, just psychological advantages of staying in the job that you're comfortable with. You didn't have to move, you didn't have to go through the anxiety, maybe you're just comfortable. But because of that comfort, you're having to that financial, the sacrifice that you're having to make now. But there's everything is a give and a take. So don't you get frustrated with yourself because you didn't want to make that change. But realize because of that comfort that you want to enjoy, you don't want to make that switch. You're not willing to move. That I mean, there one of a remember the discussion that we had about if a person lives in Baltimore and on the water, but if they live in San Diego on the water, how much more it costs to live in San Diego in the same type of square footage, but it costs them 6 times as much to have the same square foot apartment in San Diego as it costs to live in Baltimore in the same square foot apartment. But, are you willing to move to San Diego from Baltimore? Or, vice versa. The person that moves from San Diego to Baltimore and works online, look you know, how they're able to save so much more money by living in Baltimore off San Diego dollars. And that's happening. And I saw an interview where a guy said because he moved to Baltimore, he was able to save goo gobs of money because the cost of living in Baltimore is so dramatically lower than other places and have such a beautiful place to live.
Wow, that's interesting because I
Mhm.
would think it would be at least comparable, if not more, because of the insurance problems. insurance in the inner cities, it's higher than out in the suburbs. We know that. And that cost is always passed on to the consumer. So that's an interesting claim right there.
But you're right. But relative to out west, the insurance is not like we kind of, think that, oh, yeah, relative to the suburbs here. But on the West Coast, they have a different insurance challenge of the earthquake insurance challenge. So, everything is relative, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
That's
we,
correct.
we're kind of in our East Coast world, and we don't realize how good we have it. We have some real advantages over here.
Right.
Mhm.
9 after the top there. JB, tell folks, are you broadcasting live on social media as you usually do?
Definitely. Definitely. You'll see, says JB Bryan, Carl Nelson live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn right now. Just make sure you Google Afro Economics Carl Nelson, and it'll pop up. Just seek it out. You'll see it.
All right.
Great.
People are always asking, what does JB look like? This is
That's
before
right.
he was married, by the way. So they can get a chance to see.
That's
JB,
right.
you mentioned the Social Security issue. The folks who Social Security, they're not getting an increase. They've got to. Their dollar is shorter now than before. What advice do you have for folks on Social Security or any fixed income for that matter?
You're going to make sure that with Social Security that you think about, can you really wait? Do you really have to wait? And I have so many people who are listening to these talking heads on television who are telling people that, wait on your Social Security. And I remember when I thought, oh, that is the smartest financial strategy, wait, because your check will be bigger, and then I thought it through and I said, people are waiting on their Social Security, but you're spending your IRA while you're waiting to take your Social Security. So if you're spending your IRA down, you're letting the government sit there and hold your money, I'm not sure you're doing the right thing, because you'll never get that Social Security. They'll never give you a lump sum to your estate or to your beneficiaries if you don't spend it. But if you pass away before you get to your Social Security, at least your IRA will still be there to your beneficiaries. So definitely talk with your financial advisor, join Afro Economics, start learning about strategies on when to use your Social Security, tax strategies on spending your IRAs versus your Social Securities, how when working and getting your Social Security and working and using your IRAs, and even the impact of your IRA on your Medicare premium. Goodness, Carl, we could have even a whole show on how people are taking money out of their IRA and all of a sudden their Medicare premium gets doubled because they have no idea that you can get charged more on your Medicare premium because you took so much money out of your IRAs. So, that you have to be smart on your Social Security, IRAs, Medicare. The older you get, the more important it is to be financially smart than ever before. And I think that we really take it for granted that you think you get older and, oh, I can just start spending my money, just take my money out and I can just get at it. But no, that is when you really need to have a relationship with a financial advisor, and tax strategies, Social Security strategies, and because you can really get caught up, even with this required minimum distribution, with that 50% tax penalties if you don't take your required minimum distributions out, and understanding those in addition to your original point about, those Social Security withdrawals. But yes, there are some benefits to maybe taking the Social Security's withdrawals out at your earliest age, but at the same time, there could be some benefits on waiting to getting the Social Security later. It really depends on your specific financial situation and your tax situation.
Well, let me jump in and ask you this then. Do you pay taxes on Social Security?
Oh, yeah. Your Social Security can be taxed on like up to about 85%. And so you definitely need it depends on your income. So your Social Security is taxable. I mean, your income has to be pretty low for your Social Security, to not be a taxable event. So you
Tax man cometh all the time, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought they'd give you a break when you're on in the latter days of your life and you're living on a limited income, but they still tax you. That's incredible. But hey,
Yes.
thanks for having you share that with us. So having said that, what should you do then?
Oh yeah. So that's what I was saying, like, and that's a good point, because a lot of people think that when they get, older, that they're not going to have to worry about taxation on Social Security or taxation on their retirement accounts or taxation on, any of those things. And or some there's also this movement now where people feel that they can do like just switch all of their retirement accounts over to Roth IRAs and pay taxes on Roth IRAs now, and that could be the best solution. And then they run into these huge tax problems right now in their highest income tax time of their life. So be very careful when you're listening to these promotions about oh, this is the smartest thing to do, when they're not talking to you. Like, a lot of things when they're talking on these promotions, they might be talking to a multimillionaire, and you might not be a multimillionaire. You might not have this, huge tax problem. Yeah.
JB, hold that thought right there. We got to take a short break. We take a first look at the traffic. But when you come back, also explain the difference between the Roth IRA and the regular IRA. Folks, you got a question about money? This is a lady you need to speak to. Her name is JB Bryan. Reach out to us, 800-450-7876. We'll get you in. Your call's next. In about 4 minutes on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore. In the DMV, we're on 95.9 and 1450. WOL, where information is power.
Get my water. Woo, get my water, y'all. 1 second. Oh, it's hot here. Woo. Oh my goodness.
Good morning, traffic sponsored by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Light to moderate volume around the area. Had a crash on the outer loop of the Beltway near Kenilworth Avenue. Tied up the left side of the roadway for a little while.
Y'all doing?
Resolved there. Your lanes are open and the pace is good through Greenbelt and College Park. Southbound Baltimore-Washington Parkway looks okay from Laurel down across the Beltway and into Northeast. Likewise,
Roth versus traditional morning.
On the Beltway, maintaining a good pace into Chevrolet towards the Anacostia River. New York Avenue brief signal light delays in Northeast. Kenilworth Avenue slowing south of Benning Road to East Capitol Street. Southeast, I-295, Pennsylvania Avenue, all move well towards the Anacostia. Sunny skies expected today with a high of 92. Mostly clear tonight, low 75. 79 now at Reagan National. Tropical Smoothie Cafe in the
Having some fun this morning.
Nat's Berry Crush Smoothie, available at over 70 DMV locations. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, the official smoothie of the Washington Nationals. I'm Robert Workman, produced off 1450 AM, WOL, where information is power.
The YMCA is just a starting line, for the true self blooms only when we find our purpose, what makes us tick below the surface. My why is diversity in unity, a safe space in my community, living with sincerity, giving every day my everything. With my why, I stand strong, seen and supported all along. It's a million faces in a mirror and everyone belongs. Find your why. Learn more at ymca.org for a better us.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You're not required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-885-3366. 800-885-3366. That's 800-885-3366.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15th. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. Can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters and mom and dad and grandpa and grandma need them.
Thank you, first responders.
This is what I signed up for as a first responder. I am constantly worried about being exposed to this virus and potentially bringing it back to my home and my family. I'm going to continue going to work day in and day out and providing help to those that need it.
We look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you,
Y'all quiet. I'm getting ready. Roth versus traditional.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another. Thanks.
Learn how you can help first responders in your community by texting BRAVE to 24365.
I need you, Miss Adams.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true.
Coming back.
They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds.
Coming back soon.
And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
And good morning once again, family. 23 minutes after the top of the hour with our guest, our financial expert from Afroeconomics, JB Bryan. And those of you who are on social media right now, she's on all the major social media platforms, by the way, discussing money, trying to figure out a way how to stretch that dollar a little longer now, hit by inflation. Before we left, I was going to ask JB to explain the difference between the IRAs, the Roth IRA and the regular IRA.
Yeah, the major difference I want everyone to kind of take with them to work today is that the Roth IRA gives you no current tax advantage, but it gives you the advantage of having the money tax-free down the road. So when after 59 and a half, when you start taking the money out, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. It's not a taxable event at retirement because you don't get any tax benefit of putting the money in there now, except for it's growing without paying any taxes on the growth now. Like so the, well, of course, so it's growing tax-free now. So on the traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction on the money that you're putting in there now. So if you put the $7,000 that you can put in the traditional and the Roth now, like you can put a $7,000 in Roth, or you can put $7,000 in the traditional, but you can't put $7,000 in both. You can put $3,500 in one and $3,500 in the other. But the traditional, the money you put in the traditional IRA is a tax deduction. So it will reduce your taxable income. It is a tax write-off. So because you reduced your taxable income, it helped you with your taxes. It is a taxable event. It is taxable income down the road. So it grows tax deferred while you're working, while you're saving it. So it's growing and growing and growing, hypothetically, while all your life. And then when you retire and you start taking that traditional IRA savings out to live off of, that's taxable income on the traditional IRA. So if you think that down the road, when you retire, this is the only money I'm going to have, so I'm not going to have a tax problem because my grandma and I don't have this big amount of money coming in my future. So I'm not going to have a tax problem when I retire. Then the traditional IRA is for you. But the Roth is for a person who says, when I get older, I'm going to have a tax problem because I'm going to inherit a lot of money. So that's the kind of thing you have to talk to your financial advisor about. That's what we talk about in Afroeconomics when I'm talking to the client one-on-one. Like, what do you think about your situation down the road? And for a lot of people, while they're working, they need to reduce their taxable income. So they're doing the work retirement plan to reduce their taxable income. And if they don't have a work plan, then they'll use like the traditional IRA to reduce their taxable income. And then sometimes they'll qualify, to do, there's a maximum income in order, if your income is not too high, they'll also qualify to be able to do the Roth IRA, as well. But the Roth IRA has, to be able to participate, there's income limitations. So, you have to also, check on that. Like, do I qualify? Can I contribute to a Roth IRA? And things like, so there's limitations on who can participate in it. And so it's not for everyone.
Ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. At what point in your life do you make that decision?
All the
Which
time.
IRA?
All the time. And there's even people who don't have high income, but have very low like tax liability. Like every year they get money back on their taxes. And so the Roth IRA could be good for them. Sometimes I'll meet someone and they're trying to save for their child's college education. And I'll say the Roth IRA is a good option for that, because the money that you contribute you can always draw out without a penalty. the money that you put in. So that it gives them a little bit more flexibility, on that money that they put in for a young person, because they didn't write it off. So I'm talking about the amount that they put in. They can't take out their earnings, but the amount that they put in, it gives them a little bit more flexibility on than the traditional, because they wrote it off on their taxes. So they could use the Roth as a backdoor way, or a different way to actually use for a college savings as an alternative way. So, but there's definitely, there's a lot of people who it could qualify for, and it is things that that we just don't, because we don't talk to people, because we have been convinced that we only need to talk to machines, because like with Afroeconomics, I don't have a minimum investment, but most of our people talk to people that say, oh, I only deal with you if you only have a certain amount of money. So our feelings get hurt. So they never talk to someone like a JB Bryan ever again. So we give up on it. So we end up just
and let me
dealing with
for a second,
machines.
JB, and I'm glad you mentioned that. It's 30 minutes after the top of the hour, by the way, folks. There's some people listening, and you're looking for some financial advice. You don't have to, and you're concerned about calling some people who know your business. You could use a different name or a different city. It doesn't matter, but take advantage of the expertise that JB is throwing down this morning. And if not, just go, after the show, contact her at Afroeconomics. But please,
that's right.
Take advantage of what she's teaching this morning. And JB, having said that, though, higher interest rates. These interest rates, they fluctuate, but they're still kind of high. But some people say they're not that high in comparison to previous years. But they're still high for people who are just really trying to get in the game right now. What advice do you have for people who are going to finance, whether it be a home or an automobile or another big ticket item, or get into business? Should they wait, or should they get in now before the rates go higher? How do you see it?
Yeah, they definitely need to start talking. We really need to avoid, having to finance something. And I think that we always have to finance things all the time. This is a good time to start trying to develop partnerships and pull people together, and see if you can, when you have a family reunion, if you're trying to raise money for a business, or develop an idea or run things by, this summer, if you have an idea, you want to do something, and you're all together at a cookout, bring your idea together, and you can get around that 20%. You have, hey, I'm trying to raise $10,000 to open up my garage, and if everybody could put in $1,000 a piece. This is what I'm trying to do, and I'm paying 10% starting next year. That's the way the enterprise is built. That's the way that all of the whole country, like all of, so many, Motown was built. Most of the, businesses that we know of that are successful, that's how they started. And we can do it. But I think that we've just given up, and we go to these outside sources and they say no, and we're giving up on things. But yes, their interest rates are going to continue to go higher and higher, and it's going to close us out if we allow it to. But I've been in,
right there, because we got to take another short break, JB. So our station got caught up on the news, traffic, and weather of the day. It's 27 away from the top of the hour. I'll be back in 4 minutes on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore. In the DMV, we're on FM 95.9 and 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Good morning, traffic sponsored by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Outer loop of the Beltway, getting a little busier now from New Hampshire Avenue over into Silver Spring, better after Georgia Avenue. Inner loop of the Beltway looks good through College Park and Greenbelt down towards New Carrollton. Out of Laurel along I-95, Route 1 of the Baltimore-Washington Parkway. Should find everything in good working order south of 198. Inside the Beltway, Parkway traffic a little sluggish between 410 and 450, then better in the northeast. 50 John Hanson Highway, good coming in from Bowie across the Beltway. Seen a few brake lights near Columbia Park Road on the way to the Anacostia River. New York Avenue, one cycle to get through the light of Bladensburg Road, and you're good into Northwest. Southbound Kenilworth Avenue picking up a little more volume now between Burroughs Avenue and East Capitol Street. Sunny today, high 92, clear tonight, low 75, 78 now at Reagan National. Tropical Smoothie Cafe's refreshing summer smoothies and savory poolside quesadillas are making a splash all summer long. Dive in and get yours at Tropical Smoothie Cafe, the official smoothie of the Washington Nationals. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL. Information is power.
The One VIP Visa debit card makes managing money simple and easy. There's no cost to get the card and no credit check. Enroll in direct deposit and stop paying check cashing fees. Hassle-free and easy, just like it should be. Go to onevip.com and get your card today. The One VIP Visa prepaid card is issued by Stride Bank N.A., member FDIC, pursuant to a license from Visa USA Incorporated. Use of the One VIP card is subject to terms and conditions.
We remind parents that children who are out of school shouldn't be out of guidance. Not having anything better to do can lead to drugs and crime. Take your kids to a park, library, or campground. The best weapon against drugs and crime is family time. This message courtesy of Priceless Hearts Behavioral Health Center, located at 684 Pool Road, number B. For substance abuse, drugs, alcohol, mental health, IOP, OP, PHP, and more, call 443-201-9597. That's Priceless Hearts Behavioral Health Center, where Miss McCord and the staff are leaders and role models.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-256-3020. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-256-3024 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-256-3024 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-256-3024.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Good morning again, family. 23 away from the top of the hour with J.B. Bryan. J.B., we're talking about money here. She's a financial expert, Afroeconomics, that's her company. And we're discussing about rising interest rates. Before we go back to her, though, let me just remind you that Dr. James Taylor is going to be here later. He's going to talk about the abortion issue, if that has tipped the scales in the political fight between the Democrats and Republicans. And they're also going to discuss why 25% of Brian Kemp's support in Georgia is running to the re-election as governor in Georgia is coming from blacks. Under the age of 35, these young black folks are supporting Brian Kemp. So we're going to talk about that. That's coming up later this morning. And, of course, keep your radio locked right here on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore and in the DMV on 95.9 and 1450 WOL. JB, thanks again. As I mentioned, she's broadcasting live on all the popular social media platforms. I got some tweet questions for you, but I'm ready to finish answering that question about high interest rates.
You know, I was just thinking about when over the break, and I also want to make sure you. I want to make sure you ask me about some research. I want to tell you about retirement fears. Some new research that came out. So ask me about that. So the the interest rates. You know, the most frightening thing about business interest rates and loans is that most business loans interest rates adjust every 90 days. To me, that's the most outrageous thing about business loans, especially government business loans. And I think that most people who do business with the government, SBA, the small business loans, they don't realize that going into the relationship. And I really feel that we need to do everything that we can to avoid doing that, because many times, like the commercial banks, their loans don't do that. Like they'll at least lock you in for a 5 year or at least a 1 year, but the SBA loans will do a 90-day adjustable rate. So can you imagine right now with the rates that are how much their loan payments are going up for small businesses that are doing business with the Small Business Administration? Their bills are going up every 90 days. You can't do business with them. You can't do business with them. And most of them have like a 25% equity, plus they want life insurance on you. So we will have to do everything you can to not have to need a government guarantee on your loan. You have to be able to be approved past them. That's not the relationship. But every time you'll see on when you're talking about a minority business meeting, it will have a small business administration group in there. And we got to get past that, because that's not where we want to be. We have to start at least being on a commercial loan side, venture capital, angel investors. That's when you don't have to make payments at all. And then you start these investors just want to be part owners and you don't have to make payments. And they're just stock investors. That's, like Shark Tank. You're not making payments. You don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is operate your business. They want part of what you're doing. They're buying into the enterprise. That's where I want to see us, in private placements and private equity. So that's what we need to talk about. And then in my business network, I try to do sessions on a couple of my Fridays on just explaining what private equity is, so that we can start getting an understanding of why it's important to understand how the difference between private equity and loans, why we want to get on a ownership side of trying to get people to want to buy into our business and stop having to have this where we have to worry about interest rates and payments back. We need to just start wanting people that are interested in our ideas and giving up part of our ownership, if that's what you want to do.
17 away from the top there. We started off by interest rates, and I was going to ask you if home ownership is out of the reach of most Americans. And the tweeter said, this ties in with the tweet question. Tweeter said, JB, what kind of savings plan should I have to save for a down payment on a home?
Well, first is just making sure that you decide how much income you have, how your income, your expenses, what you have left over, so that you can get that emergency fund established. And then after you have your emergency fund established, what extra money you have for that down payment on the house. Because a lot of times people are going into their house and using their emergency fund, and you don't want to do that because your house needs you to be fully funded, because your house is going to have emergencies. So you need to have money for a down payment and still have your emergency fund. So you need to have our emergency fund funded for that 6 months of expenses covered. And that would be included what you think your mortgage is going to be. And then that 10 to 20% down on that house. You know, even if they say you only have to have $1,000 down, we need to really talk through, do you really want to go in there with only $1,000, you know, and zero equity into your house? Is it really worth it? So we really need to think through, do you really have to go into where you don't really own any of that house for a long time? You're really
Well,
just
let me jump in and ask again. Is this a good time to get in, JB, or should you wait? Because now they say the housing price, the housing market may fall or crash, if you will. Should you wait on the sidelines till that happen, or should you get in now before the interest rates go higher?
It really depends on the price that they can get. If they can, you have to look at purchasing the house just like any other investment. If you go out there and you get a good price for a good house and it is at good value, then you get it and you try to get the best interest rate and you're getting in it for the long term and it's of value to you and it is the most affordable way to house you and your family, then it's best for you. But you have to think it through as best for your financial life over the long term because it is a long-term investment.
Right. 14 away from the top of the hour. 800-450-7876. Mark is joining us. He's in Baltimore City. He's on line 2. Mark, you're on with JB.
Hi, Mark.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Henry. Good morning, Ms. JB. A question. The Senate recently passed a bill, and it's going its way to the House of Representatives dealing with inflation. It's a taxation climate type of bill. And my question is for the small businesses is because of the rates, the variable rates that the businesses have to pay on these loans and all, is there a provision for I don't know whether we call it a delay in taxation or reduction in taxes, or I guess it's put on hold because you have to eventually pay taxes on these loans and everything. Is there some sort of a provision? Because it's some of the businesses, for survival purposes, when they come up with enough money to pay back the loans and everything according to the agreement, then the taxation rates for businesses kicks in. So is there a provision for a delay or rebate? How does this work?
I don't know. We have to, look into that. Please let us know. That's I hope so. I don't know. You sound like you're really on it. They should do something like that. But that sounds deep. I haven't heard anything about that connected with that particular issue.
All right.
Sounds great.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Great
right,
question. Great question.
Another tweet question for you, JB. Tweeter says, by the way, it's 13 away from the top of the hour. Tweeter says, what do they mean when they say you can get cash back on a life insurance policy?
That's the cash value of the life insurance policy. That is the extra money that you've been putting in. When you are told how much it costs every month, you've been told to pay extra. So when you have cash value, that means that you've been putting in too much money. And so that cash value is money that they've been holding for you. And if you didn't send in that extra money, then it would basically be considered like a term policy. On a term policy.
So what? Yeah, what is the difference between the term and that other policy we're referring to right now?
That's why term policy is cheaper. Like the term doesn't have any cash value. Like it does. So the term doesn't hold any money for you. So it's cutting out that portion. But you can also, it's all in how it's structured and your premium is structured. But that's like an oversimplification, really. But that you have been overpaying. And then as you continue and get older, if you don't take that cash value out, that cash value will start emptying out just because you're getting older. And your insurance fees get higher and higher the older you get. So they'll start taking your cash value to pay for you getting old. And it'll just start pulling from it. And if you spend that cash value, you're going to have to come up with the extra money because you took it out. So it's all factored in.
And is that taxable as well?
If you take that cash value out, it could be. I'm not going to say that it's not. It could be. It could be if it is an overpayment of the premium. If it's an overpayment of the premium, it probably is not. If it is earnings, it is taxable. It's a tricky area in there, but they will tell you before you take it out if it is taxable. So you can ask them, make sure you do not do anything crazy like send it to me and then ask if it's taxable. Ask them first, is this a taxable event? And they will tell you. But if it's just a return of your premium or something like that, they will, you know what I mean, tell you this is not taxable. But if it is, earnings or, they'll say, oh, this is a taxable event. And they will tell you and they'll send you the money. But it could be taxable.
It's sort of individualized.
But if it's a loan,
you when making these decisions.
But if it's a loan, most likely it will not be taxable. And it could be considered a loan even though you're taking out your cash value. It's
question
tricky.
about the insurance, JB. So I guess it's an individualized response to a question like that. You have to figure out what's best for you individually.
Yes, you definitely. Because I called one of my policies and I said, I have this money in my cash value. So if I pass, is that added to my death benefit? This is my own policy. And guess what they said? No. I was devastated. I said, no. And they said, no. I was like, but look, that's something I would have never thought to ask. I thought for sure that my cash value would be added to my death benefit, right? They said, no. I was like, so what do you do with it? They said, it's just not. That's not on this policy. And here I am. I'm the agent. I didn't know that. If you don't ask, I mean, like, how many questions do I have to ask? I cannot ask enough questions. I have to ask so many questions. Like, it is the most legal. Like, I cannot ask enough questions for my clients on life insurance. I can ask 1,000 questions and I still haven't asked enough questions. They'll be like, question. So the most powerful thing that I have learned to say in this business is, I don't know. I wanted people all over America to hear me say that to that man, because so many people, professionals, have a problem saying, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? If everybody in a position of influence would say, I don't know, they could change the world so that you could get answers. You know how empowering that is to that brother to say, I don't know, so that he could go and Google it and find out from Congress what they're going to do about that for small businesses. So when somebody, when I had that question,
you said that,
yes.
Neely Fuller reminds us that. He says, I don't know. He says, when you find something, ask a question. So, yeah, you're right. If you don't know, just say, I don't know, instead of leading them down the wrong path.
So I was sitting there assuming about my cash value of my family's going to get that plus my death benefit. You know what I'm saying? And I said, you know what? I'm not assuming anything. It said no.
Well, that's all right there, because we're going to take another break so our stations can identify themselves down the line. It's 6 away from the top of the hour. We're back in 4 minutes on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore. In the DMV, we're on FM 95.9 and 1450. WOL, where information is power.
Phil, you something else. I do. But I sound like this. It don't matter what time it is. It just depends. Somebody tell them. I don't know. It'll make him so bad. I said, well, what if I spend it? Will it reduce my death benefit? They said, yep. So it won't add to it, but I can't spend it. That's mean.
And also going up past 198 on the way to
What in the world, Linda Wallace?
Silver Spring, lanes all reported open. Southbound.
Ooh, living life.
Between 410 and 450, then better in the northeast. Route 50 slows just after 202 on the way to New York Avenue and Kenilworth Avenue. DC 295 flowing south of Eastern Avenue, most of the way down past East Capitol Street. Congestion on New York Avenue, building
I
at
think
Williamsburg
it's
Road and over near the 3rd Street Tunnel. Not too bad either way on the south.
some oregano.
Sunny today, high 92. Clear tonight, low 75. 78 now.
Did some oregano this morning, and oregano is no joke. Broke up mucus in there that I didn't know I had.
I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL. Information is power.
You don't know what you got to put some oregano in there.
Try Olay Body Wash with skincare super ingredient
Probably some
Olay Body Wash
mucus from high school.
hydrates to rejuvenate skin surface cells for healthier looking
For real.
skin in just 14 days. From dry and dull to firm and radiant. So I can step into my day feeling my best in my skin. And now try Olay Body Lotion, which hydrates for visibly firmer skin that improves
We are
over
doing
time.
it, y'all.
Olay Body, fearless in my skin.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. Put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up. That frog will
I
boil.
talked about this
There's a
before.
metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans. It's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life. The bills, the job, the family. Things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil.
That's it.
Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You joined because you were not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you
I'm not a frog.
need support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
It was a normal
What'd you
day.
say?
He was in some minor accident, a fender bender.
And I had this impulse to call him, but I didn't. Because I thought I could call
Morning,
him
Queen
later
Howard.
that week.
Tell you.
He abandoned the car, he came home, and he shot himself without ever talking to anyone.
When I came home that night and I found her, they told me that she had shot herself.
Let's
I couldn't
go.
believe it.
I asked if he was okay.
She ain't joking.
Shooting is unfortunately effective. There are not a lot of second chances.
Once you pull that trigger, that's it. There is no coming back.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. By storing our guns safely, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo,
He said it's
we can give our
effective.
loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org.
I ain't
Brought to you
joking.
by Brady and the Ad Council.
Mama, what does the chicken say?
Chicken. Oh, okay.
What?
Oh, a wolf.
Oh! What about the tiny dog? Cat.
Let's go.
Owl. Dolphin. What does the turkey say? Well.
Oh, the retiree survey.
Giraffe, really? Okay.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff. like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council. WOL, Washington, D.C. W240DJ, Washington. 95.9 WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda. WKYS, HD3, Washington. WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most ultimate. All right, let's go. Keep rocking.
Good morning again, family. Thank you for waking up with us a minute after the top of the hour. You're out going on your way to work. Thank you for taking us with you along for the ride as well. Later, Dr. James Taylor is going to be here. We're going to talk politics with Dr. Taylor. Right now, we're talking money with J.B. Bryan from Afroeconomics. Those of you on your job or, got your smartphones with you and your tablets, you check out J.B. She's live on all the major social platforms. If you got a question to about money, this is a lady you need to pose a question to. And as I said earlier, that you don't have to give your real name or your real city, but if you got a question or issue that that concerns you, take advantage of her knowledge and reach out to us. 800-450-7876 those are the numbers to get you in. But JB, many people now are considering retirement, and they have some retirement fears because they may think they may live longer than the money that they have saved up or what Social Security is going to provide them with. Do you have any advice for those folks?
I'm glad that you said that, because that's amazing that you actually said longevity, because Boston College, was it Boston College? Let me see who did this survey. The Center for Retirement Research, it was Boston College. They actually did a study, and the retirees said that their biggest fear was financial threat, that they feared that they would run out of money. But in reality, their actual threat should be what you just mentioned, longevity. That in reality, that they should be worried about living longer than their money. Isn't that funny? That longevity, the prospect that the retirees may live longer than expected and run out of money, is actually the biggest financial threat, according to recent research by the center. When they actually looked up the actual threat, like they meant when people were surveyed, they said that their threat was the market, but in reality, their biggest threat is that they're going to outlive their money. Isn't that something? They said, no, I'm not going to, they actually felt like they're going to die, you know what I mean? But statistically, they're probably going to live longer than their money. And so it's like,
people are living longer these days. It apparently, it appears that people are living longer these days.
Yeah.
Because of better medical conditions, yeah.
So they were choosing. And it was interesting because when you try to convince someone of that, they actually don't really they don't really care about that. Like if you'll say, here's something that I could, put you into that will make sure that your money, will last for the rest of your life. They really don't, don't have much interest in that. I know it was interesting that this research came out because, I had this lady that a client referred to me, and she was retiring at 55, and I said, I think that you should do this, and it really frightened her that I was suggesting that she do something that would guarantee, her money for the rest of her life. But my um suggestion was, because to me 55 was so young to be retiring, that I needed to do something that would make sure that she had something. And her argument was, but I need to have my money now. And my, what my concern was, as this research is showing now, but when I was talking to her, I didn't have this research to back me up. I just discovered this last night.
Is that a difficult discussion to have, JB, when you're talking about retirement and insurance? Is that a difficult conversation with clients?
Oh, yeah, because I've been doing this so long that I know what she's saying to me. Like, I know what happens, and I know the pattern. And I can't say, okay, I know what's going to happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I know the pattern of behavior. It's kind of like a school counselor can knows that kid, and they know what's going to happen. But you can't say, I know this kid. You know what I'm saying? So you know what?
I
You know what I'm
understand what
saying?
you're saying. I'm just wondering, because
Exactly.
when
Yeah.
it comes to our mortality, that's when we come into question. We're not going to be here forever, folks. And you're talking about having enough money to, at least the grandkids won't get any money in inheritance, so you're going to spend the grandkids' inheritance. So you got to figure out how to stretch that dollar so that you can live comfortably when you retire. And that's what I was asking, if this is a difficult conversation to have with
and this
people, with clients.
person is going to be here forever. Because if you get to retire at 55, you're going to be here forever. Now, me and you might not be here forever because we're hustlers.
No, we're not.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we might not, but they going to be here forever. Like, so their challenge is different than ours. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't realize, like, their challenge is different because they got to get that thing to stretch, because they're in a position to, like, spend money all day long. Like, we're working all day long. So we don't think about spending money. But people who are having fun, going on vacation, their money has to be on lock. Our money doesn't have to be locked down. I can wear the same thing every day, same sneakers, same shoes, same thing. I look at people on social media, they be like flexing, showing their red bottoms. That stuff doesn't move me. You know what I'm saying? So we don't get shook by that. Like, but that's that group. So they have to really be careful. So God put me here to protect them from themselves. And they should be like, oh God. And there's a certain person who would just like, oh Lord. But 20 years later, they go, oh, I love JB. Thank God for you. You know what I'm saying? There's that person, but they have to get through it first. But yeah.
JB, isn't that everybody? Because I wish I met you when I was in my 20s.
Amen.
I'd be much better off right now. You never think, you think you're going to live forever. You're 20, 30, 40, even 50. You're going to live forever. Not knowing that your ticket is already punched, and at some point you got to check out, and you start having talking about finances and how to have money in your latter years. So hopefully the young people are listening. And do you get a good response from young people when you have these kind of conversations with them?
Not really. Honestly, not really. But I really am excited when I can. And the only reason not is because we're not, they don't have us. They don't have us to lead the way. They don't have enough people saying like, hey, JB Bryan's right. Like, it's, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Like, it's okay. You can wear the same thing. It doesn't really matter. Like, those things don't matter. You can put that off. We don't have to have that right now. Like, but we don't, what I mean? It's not celebrated. It's not celebrated. It's not supported. But it's not popular. So, but it's, soon,
JB,
it's not a
10 after
movement.
the hour, it's keeping up with the Joneses. That pressure.
Yeah.
You want to flex and show people that you're doing well, because part of the problem with this country is that people think that you're smarter, better, whatever, because you've got more money, or you show that you've got more money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't see a balance sheet.
Issue.
Nobody puts a balance sheet on social media. If you did, they couldn't understand
it.
it.
Think our automobiles or our homes speak for ourselves. So you got to drive a particular car or live in a particular neighborhood. It speaks volumes just for who I am. That's not really the essence of who you really are. But that's a whole nother topic right there.
That's everything. That's everything. That's it.
All right, we got some folks who want to talk to you, JB. 11 after the top of the hour. 800-450-7876. You can check in and speak to JB Bryan. Talking about money. Weeda's calling in from Georgia on line 2. Weeda, you're on with JB Bryan.
Yes, good morning, and thanks for taking my call. JB, I have a question for you this morning as it relates to insurance. You touched on that a moment ago. What I kind of understand term insurance and whole life, but can you highlight or give me more of a definition of what universal life insurance does as it relates to the other two that I just mentioned?
It's still permanent. There's only two types, term and permanent. Whole life and universal are permanent. They're in that category. So the universal is like and variable universal, and then whole life. And the universal may have a little bit higher interest rate. The variable will get mutual funds involved. And then the whole life might have a little bit lower interest rate than the universal. The universal brought in the flexible premium, where the whole life had, like, if you missed a payment, and still has, it's not as flexible as the universal is. Like the universal, you can go like almost a whole year, miss payments, it'll go into your cash value for you, and the whole life is not going to do that. So the universal is a lot more flexible. But they are different types of policies in the fine print. But you definitely need to check them out. The whole life is more stringent, and they will have different criteria. And there's probably a paragraph or at least a sentence that in insurance world that specifically says what the criteria is. But for me, I see them as universal is newer. Whole life is the granddaddy, and it was not as flexible. Universal came along, that you can miss a payment, flexible, a little bit higher interest rate, newer. Variable universal came in and said, you know what? The cash value can get mutual funds involved, and it's even more flexible. So, but those three are considered permanent, and then the other is term.
So the holdings within the universal life policy will more than likely have mutual funds.
No.
Within, no.
Not in universal. That's variable universal.
Okay.
Universal.
Are you?
There's universal.
Would the insurance company allow you to pick those funds, perhaps, or is it something that they would do?
No.
As much as you know.
In the variable universal, you pick the funds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Rita.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thanks. All right.
Mm-hmm.
15 after the top. I'll come from a break real soon. But again, we want to deal with the issue that affects all of us, this inflation issue, these rising prices. You go into the store and you see something that you paid $2 for last week, and now it's $4. How do I know it's it's sort of a mindset. You go, wow, should I buy this or should I just pass it? You kind of feel like you're being cheated. Like, if I bought it last week, I would have saved $2. And you think, do I really need it? JB, what sort of decisions can you help folks when they go into stores, whether it just be food or just be items or even services now? If you just got an oil change or something like that on your automobile, it's going to cost you more than your previous visit. So how do we navigate all this? Should we wait if the prices are going to come down? Do you think the prices will come down? The cost of services, do you think are going to come down, or are they going to stay up? Hold that thought. Hold your response, because we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
Check the traffic in our different cities, and we'll come back and let you respond to that, because I know folks are going to the stores and seeing these increasing prices and wondering, what do I do? 800-450-7876. You can join this conversation with JB Bryan. We'll take your calls in 4 minutes right here on 1010 WOLB in Baltimore and in the DMV on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Good morning, traffic, sponsored by Attorney Big Al, the law office of Richard Klein. Enter over the Beltway on the way to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Slow traffic leaving the Beltway on the northbound I-295 and going up past the Naval Research Site. Better around Malcolm X.
Oh, he's so sweet.
Parkway across the 11th Street Bridge.
Nice.
Better once you're on the way
Thank you.
Southwest Freeway for the 3rd Street Tunnel. Expect delays on Suitland Parkway.
Oh, thank you so much.
Stanton Road towards South
That's so
Street.
positive.
Southbound DC 295.
That's so positive. Thank you.
East Capitol Street, 50 John Hanson Highway.
Amen.
202 towards the Anacostia River.
That's so positive. Thank you. Needed that.
At Bladensburg Road. Sunny skies today with a high of 92 expected. Clear tonight, low 75.
Snoopy D tried to call in with the hard question.
Big Al, the law office of Richard Klein, reminds you to call 1-800.
No, that was you.
If you ever get into an accident, Attorney Big Al will fight the insurance company to get you the compensation you
calling in.
I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL. Information is power.
To be calling in.
Black History 365 days a year.
Hard questions. 3-parters.
Models and continue to work together for a better future for African Americans as well as
gracious.
All Americans. This message courtesy of S.R. Myers Trucking and Paving, your professionals with the right equipment and knowledge to get the job done on time for hauling of sand, gravel, soil, and more. Whether residential or commercial, call 301-292-6373. They're paving the way to safety. The Meyer family are leaders and role models.
When you're running your own business, the last thing you need is to be running into problems hiring. So
you never ask easy questions.
Make it easy to attract, interview, and hire
what I said? Something I wanted to tell Carl about. Oh, I know. Focus on. Wanted to talk about inflation.
Interviews all from the Indeed website. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
When a student lacks some of the most basic needs,
like food, clothing, and school supplies,
it can be challenging to even attend school.
It can be hard to study, tough to concentrate, impossible to thrive.
At communities and schools, we address this issue every day.
Out in the community, there are great resources for students, and we bring these resources directly to the students who need them most.
We work to ensure that they have everything they need to re-engage in learning in the classroom and at home,
including access to technology, learning materials,
and even emotional support.
By forging caring relationships with students and bringing communities of support to them,
Our staff works to achieve equitable learning conditions so all kids can succeed in school and in life. And that's what Communities in Schools is all about.
To learn more, visit communitiesinschools.org.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop diabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
please be done.
Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
That's crazy.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
And good morning again, family. 22 minutes after the top of the hour with our guest, financial expert, J.B. Bryan. Got a question about finances, money, saving money, making money. This is a lady you need to talk to. A company's called Afro Economics, and she's broadcasting live right now on all social media platforms, so all the major ones, so you can check her out. 800-450-7876 number to call to speak to JB. So, JB, I'm going to let you respond to that. Because the reason why I asked that question, because a friend of mine, he had an oil change, and 6 months ago it was $100, and he went back yesterday, and he was all sort of bummed out because it was $150 after 6 months, and he thought he was getting taken. So I said, no, this is what's happening. Oil prices went up, so labor prices go up. But can you explain to people who are going through that sort of experiences, is there anything that they can do?
And I don't understand why public transportation has gone up so much. No, it says public transportation is up, but also the stats are saying that low income people are not going out to eat so much, which I appreciate. Hopefully they've included me in those numbers because I made a movement. I don't know if you noted that last time when I was on. I don't know if you noticed when I said that I'm not going out to eat anymore. And I said that I wasn't eating anything. I wasn't going to any restaurants, eating no processed food, none of that. That was just a movement that I did. And
well, let me ask you this, though. Let me jump in, because I do remember that conversation. But for the restaurants, they have a nut to cover. They've got to make their profit. So does that, fact that you and people who think like you are not going, the people who do go, are they going to pay more? They're going to have to make it up? The company's going to make it up on the people who are not showing up?
Because they said that high income people are going out to eat more. So the cost of going out to eat is up like almost 10%. So, I mean, it's not slowing down. Like, they're making money. They're making more money than ever. And the cost of eggs is up over 30%. Eggs, margarine up over 30%. Who eats margarine? Oh my goodness. Stop eating margarine. We should do a boycott on margarine and eating out. I'm so glad. I really, really, really hope that that's true, that all low income people will stop eating out. If all of us could cook at home, we, you know what I mean, can turn our health around. And that everything will get better. Everything will get better for us because we'll make more money. I'm telling you, my mental clarity from making a commitment to non-processed food has been so much better. I mean, the way I think has improved so much that it, we don't need any processed restaurant sodium sugared up food at all. And they're robbing us of our money, our time, and everything. Like, we don't need it. And our kids definitely don't need it. So keep our money in our pocket. And
let me just jump in because I'm sure Dr. B is going to be here in a few days. He'd appreciate what you just said because that's what something
Thank you, Dr. B.
For a while. But having said that, though, so what do you do? What you saying that you should eat at home? What about the oil change situation, the other hairdressing, the other areas that you have to or you think that you need to do it? Well,
we can't control that. So we'll put we're gonna put our money over there. We'll just put our money where we have to, but hopefully we'll feel better and we'll be able to walk more places and we won't need an oil change as often because we'll be able to walk more. Because like when I went to the Something in the Water Fest, me and my husband took the metro and we walked, and you won't need an oil change as much. You take the metro and you walk. And you when you start being more active, I don't drive my vehicle as much, and you feel better. When you're a healthier person. So, and public transportation, that also we need to make a movement with our local politicians on how can they do this, and make it where we can't afford to take public transportation. That is ridiculous. All entrepreneurs should be able to afford to take public transportation.
Right, because you're talking right now about lifestyle changes, but again, it's all back down to the dollar. How do we stretch that dollar within inflationary age?
Yes.
This is what we're discussing, folks. If you got some ideas, let us know,
and
too.
Be healthier.
7876. JB says eat healthier and get more exercise. For some people, that's out of reach. They do have to use public transportation. They may have to drive. A lot of people commute. These are the ones that we're talking to now because they're up early because they got jobs that they've got to go to, and they've got to beat that traffic. So they're up early. So they don't have an option.
Yes.
For some folks.
Yes.
What other areas can you cut back on, JB? Because I mentioned going into the stores and looking at it. You mentioned margarine and butter, and you mentioned eggs, and this is one time. This is for the vegetarians are probably happy when they hear all this stuff. But the cost of meat has gone up. What do you? How can you? What do you cut back on? What do you do when you go into stores and you see that all these prices are just going to almost doubled in some instances? What do you do?
Yes, you just make a commitment to cooking and cooking and buying it and eating it for yourself. Like, it's going to cost even more if we're buying it from someone else. Like if we're not cooking it for ourselves, like we have to eat. But imagine if you're buying this stuff through a restaurant. So you have to make sure that you're buying it at the most affordable place, that, buy it locally. Consider trying to find it, at a farm, get it, as affordable as you can. And then maybe buy it with your neighbors, see if you can get it, with in like a collective. We need to like really investigate some sort of, grocery collective and, see if they can bring it to the whole community and get your, all of your vegetables and things together. But there are things that we can do that can make our stuff, healthy things more affordable. And then, but make a commitment to being, healthy and positive, and take your lunch with you to work and keep Carl with you. Keep this type of positive information with you all the time. Keep it at your desk. Keep him, keep the app with you. Keep a positive mindset. Realize that you're spending money. I don't think that food and good fruit and vegetables will ever be our problem. The movies and negative things that we waste our money on, and gaming and unnecessary multiple pairs of shoes and extra clothing and things like that, that's where we waste our money. Don't fool yourself into thinking getting the oil change and maintaining your assets that you need to produce your work and your things for your kids' school are the stuff that costs too much. Though usually
that's in that moment too about the school issues, because it's all, by the time we speak again, I guess the schools, public school systems will be open. Yes. 29 away from the top of the hour, though. Mark in Baltimore has a question for you. Mark, you're on with JB Bryan.
Hi, how y'all doing this morning, Carl and guest JB?
Hey.
A lot of the markets too, and we know that a lot of places are just going up on stuff just because they can, and it's ridiculous. But a lot of the markets here in Baltimore probably are places. You can try to go to markets too, where you can put your phone number, or you can get the little sign up for the little discount cards, and you save a lot of money that way.
There you go.
Also, and I was listening to you guys earlier, and we was talking about investments.
Yes.
Yeah, insurance is really important. My mom passed in 2020. I used to work with I retired from VA, but I worked with Primerica Financial Services for 4 years, and their big thing was the insurance. What you call it?
Term.
Not life. Not what's the other one?
Term.
The short term. Term. Yeah. So their big thing, Carl, and guess was term, and then you could start off with like $25 with the investment with the IRA, and and my mom passed in 2020, and I worked with them for 95 to 99. She still had that insurance, and we were able to borrow her with that insurance, and she had an IRA because she was doing private duty for the state.
Fantastic.
And they didn't have any retirement at that time, and we were able to borrow her because the burial plot, guys, and the headstone cost more than the actual funeral.
Wow, that's sad. Yeah, but I'm telling you, if our people knew about Afroeconomics the way they know about that company, our people would be so far ahead, because Afroeconomics, my IRAs do not have sales charges. So you know how their products have load on them. My products don't do loads. I do ETFs and IRAs. So we're able,
because we're coming up on a break. We're 27 minutes away from the top.
Hey, I love it. Thank y'all. Buy black.
Amen.
Y'all have a good day.
Amen.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Now.
Let's take a break now, so our stations can get the news, weather, traffic, and all that good information that folks need before they start the day.
That's right.
800-450-7876. Those are numbers you need to call. Got some more people who want to speak to JB. We'll take the calls in 4 minutes on 1010 WLLB in Baltimore. In the DMV, we're on FM 95.9 and 1450. WOL, where information is power.
Amen. That was great. Amen. Amen.
Good morning, folks. I'm Earl Kirk. Here's the latest from NewsOne.com. Baseball legend Pete Rose is discussing questions about allegations that he had a sexual relationship with a minor decades ago. Rose appeared at the Citizens Bank ballpark in Philadelphia Sunday as part of the Phillies honoring the 1980 World Series team. It was his first appearance on the field in Philly since the franchise scrapped plans in 2017 to honor him because of a woman's allegation that he had sex with her when she was a minor in the 70s. A reporter asked Rose about the allegations, which he refused to talk about, saying, "It was 55 years ago, babe." Rose previously admitted to having sex with a woman, but said she was 16 at the time, the legal age of consent in Ohio. I'm Mark Mayfield. Things are back to normal following a brief scare at Tyson Sunday. Police responded to reports of shots fired, but they later figured out that a loud noise folks heard came from a shattered light fixture. The mall was evacuated, but nobody was hurt. A teenager is being treated for serious injuries following a fire Sunday in southeast D.C. This neighbor says she quickly called to alert the family inside the home on Mississippi Avenue.
So grandson kicked down the door, and when we kicked down the door, fire flew out.
Firefighters battled the blaze for nearly 4 hours. No word yet on a cause. General Michael Langley is now the first black officer to achieve the 4-star rank in Marine Corps history. Langley was promoted in a weekend ceremony in D.C. He will be in charge of all U.S. military forces in Africa. Several Toys R Us locations are slated to pop up across the country in time for the holiday shopping season. The once popular toy store will be reopening inside Macy's stores in at least 9 states, including Maryland. They should be up and running by mid-October. Phillies rout the Nats 13-1. Sparks over the Mystics 79-76. I'm Earl Kirk. When you're looking for news for Black America, go to newsone.com.
Good morning. Traffic sponsored by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. In a loop of the Beltway slope from St. Barnabas Road to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Northbound on 210. Just a little slow traffic between the north intersection at Old Fort Road and Palmer Road as you motor on up towards Oxon Hill. 5 and 301 do well out of Waldorf up towards Brandywine, but Branch Avenue is going to slow just north of the 301 split on the way up past Earnshaw Drive. Then it's a better pace on the way up towards Camp Springs. Inbound on Route 4, Pennsylvania Avenue, no worries out of Upper Marlboro towards the Beltway. Southeast, heavy volume on Suitland Parkway from Branch Avenue off and on towards South Capitol Street. I-295 slow in Blue Plains, and then at the ramp to the 11th Street Bridge, that'll continue onto the westbound Southeast-Southwest Freeway. Sunny today, high 92, clear tonight, low 75. 78 now at Reagan National. Tropical Smoothie Cafe and the Nationals have partnered to bring you the Nats Berry Crush Smoothie, available at over 70 DMV locations. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, the official smoothie of the Washington Nationals. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL, where information is power.
Attention, if you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message.
Ooh,
the IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They are experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and will fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-569-4435. 800-569-4435. 800-569-4435.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
Where next?
you earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel. And 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, or going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceretirement.org/Shiro.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Good morning, family. Thanks for rolling with us. 20 minutes away from the top of the hour with J.B. Bryan, our guest. Coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to speak with black politics expert, Dr. James Taylor. We're going to talk about the fact that the black Trumpsters seem to be getting behind Brian Kemp in his race against Stacey Abrams. In fact, they say that and he's going to talk about this, blacks under 35, 25% of Kemp's support, 25, a quarter of his support are coming from blacks, and especially the younger blacks. So we're going to talk about that. What's happening? Is this a trend, or is this just in Georgia? And we're going to talk about Herschel Walker, of course, and reparations in California and more. So that's coming up at the top of the hour. Let's go back to the JB, though. JB, I got a bunch of folks who want to talk to you. 800-450-7876. Melvin's in Baltimore. He's on line 3. Melvin, you're on with JB Bryan.
Good morning, everyone.
How's it going, Melvin?
Good morning. Yes, I had 3 situations for our people. I'm calling out of Baltimore about banks, supermarkets, and products in supermarkets. Please take your time, because when you get to that counter, something on the shelf has been marked down, but it's not necessarily in the cash register. Numerous times I've gotten home, looked at the receipt, because I was in a rush and was charged more than what is said at the supermarket. So take your time and check that receipt. Banks, ATMs.
Wait, before you move on, Melvin, that's a good point that you made. But if you notice, because I've heard people say that, but I've never heard anybody say that they've actually been charged less, or they got a free item that wasn't scanned. So that's a great point. That people, when you just watch when they're scanning, you can before you get home. So make sure that the right price is reflected. Go ahead, Melvin.
Yeah,
well, that's a great.
You gotta take your time. ATMs calling out of Baltimore, Wawa, Rural Farm, free ATM. Now the bank, when you get to the bank charges you, even though it's free. The bank is charging you $250 or whatever. But here's the thing: I've questioned the bank and gotten refunds. One was of those fees over 30 years. $100 a couple times, 60, 40, whatever. You have to request it, complain. It was free ATM, but the bank is charging you. At the bank I use, they gave it back to me. Wow. I'm so tired of requesting. I'm changing banks to a bank that's closer.
Good for him.
So I don't have to go to Wawa to get money. And then the products. I've picked up products that said 100%, being in a hurry, or non-dairy. On the back, it says contain milk. On the back, it says 1% juice. But on the front, it says 100% vitamin C.
Whoa.
Not 100% juice. These corporations are deceptive.
Exactly.
You have to watch them.
Exactly.
Thank y'all for y'all time.
So
all right,
true.
Thanks, Melvin. JB, you want to comment on anything that Melvin said?
He's so true. I remember, I took the train and I got the sleeper car, and it said private bath and shower. And then when I got on the train, there was no private bath and shower. So then I looked on when I got online and I got them, and I was so disappointed because I was like, oh my God, there's no bathroom. Like, this is so disappointing. Like, so I looked up and it said access to private bath and whatever. And I was like, it did not say that. But of course, like when you're getting it, all you see is private bath and shower. Like, you're not thinking like that the access to private bath would mean that it's up the hall. Like, you know what I mean? You're thinking that means that it's your bath and shower. Like, it's so true. Like, these corporations, I was like, why would you sell me something knowing that I'm going to think that I have a bath and a shower and get me on this train and find out that I don't have a bath, that I don't have a toilet, and, that I don't have a toilet and a shower. Oh, well, go online and you can upgrade.
We got to do a better job of watching those ads.
Yeah.
But 15 away from the top there. Brother Ray Fauntleroy's joined us. He's on line 4. Brother Ray, you're on with J.B. Bryan.
Well, good morning, Carl. Good morning, J.B. Bryan. It's good to hear someone from the financial world speaking up.
Thank you.
I just want to share with you what the movement, the civil rights movement, did back in the day when these things began to happen. We decided that, okay, well, maybe we're not going to buy that. We're not going to go to that restaurant, just like you just said.
That's right.
And I think that we need to take a lesson now from what the Chinese are doing. And from what I understand, they are not paying their mortgages because they've gone up. And it has to be an organized effort to do these things, to make these prices go down.
That's right.
We've been told, the Bible has told us, that one came to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's what he's doing.
That's right.
The money changers are controlling the corporations who are controlling our lives with their greed and their profits.
That's right.
So it's in our power to do this, but we have to be unified and organized.
Right. That's right.
To deal with it. So I really appreciate this program because it speaks directly to the issues that we are facing. As I see our people walking the streets looking for work, homeless, I see the government bringing in people from other countries, millions of people, giving them money, giving them jobs, while our people who built this country, whose blood, sweat, and tears are in the land, being pushed out.
That's
so
right.
It's time to organize and to follow this kind of direction in order to change this. We did this over the oil spill. We found out it was BP oil doing it. We asked people not to buy BP oil. They didn't buy it. So they changed their name, and the prices on oil went down. And if we do that now, if we decided not to drive,
that's right.
If everybody decided, or at least enough of us decided, we're not going to drive, or we're not going to go in these supermarkets for a week.
That's right.
Would drop.
That's right.
So I thank you for this. I really thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like I'm vindicated. God bless you.
That's right. Good for you.
Thanks, Brother Ray.
That's right. That's right.
JB?
We don't have to. I don't think that we realize the power that we have by just one person creating a movement, and and that what you can really make for your own household or for your own people that you impact, or the example that you are setting, like Brother Ray said, like or that what he has done with his life and the people that he's influenced. But I really feel that we should stop feeling like that we don't matter, and continue to making sure that we just don't give up. Don't give up. I'm not going to give up. When I sometimes that I think that we just feel like, oh, does it really make a difference? And then just forget about it. But I really do feel that it really makes a difference. I was telling someone I was telling my daughter yesterday. I said that the reason I'm so health conscious is because I was the only person in my family left at home when my father became diabetic. And and it changed my life as a high schooler, that when my mother changed the whole lifestyle for me and my father, and everything changed at home. And then I realized the power of food at that point. And when I went away to college, my father was no longer diabetic, but they went back to the same habits when I went away to college. So when I came back, my father was diabetic again. And my father died from diabetes-related things. But I know that our community, you know what I mean, can make an effective change from our habits, financially, health, and all of our day-to-day habits for with everything that we do. These little day-to-day money habits, food habits, mental habits make such a big difference in our life. And we just don't think so.
Erasing the clock, got some more folks I want to talk to you. 10 away from the top there. Jerome's joining us. Jerome's calling from White Oak in Maryland on line 2. Jerome, you're on with JB Bryan.
Yeah, hi. I had a question about, I was talking to my father, and he said there's something that they do when you pay off your car loan early. Mm-hmm. Do you know, like, is that like a rebate or something like that? I was trying to find out information about that. And also, I've heard them talk about, like, do you know anything about penalties for paying off your loan too early with some of these loans?
No, but Jerome, you're right to ask questions, and all you should do is call the loan company and ask questions. There are some loans that give you penalties for paying off early, but most likely your car loan is not like that. But depending on what lender you use, will they have a rebate? Make sure you call and ask about that. But make sure that you communicate with them. Call them. How would you find the phone number? Look for the original number with the lender. Look for the original documents, probably in the glove compartment of your car. Wherever you bought the car from, Google it if it's not in there. Go and call the lender. And if they say, oh, we sold your loan to someone else, ask them who they sold it to, and then Google their name, and then call them. And then they say they sold it again, and then Google their number. And then you find your loan. Whoever's taking your money, call your bank. Find out who's taking your money, and you find and you talk to them. Who's taking the draft, who's taking your money, and you find out if you can pay your loan off early. Find out what your interest rate is. So if your interest rate is 20% and you have your money sitting in the bank and they're paying you 2% for that money, you do better to pay that car off, because that money, the bank is only paying you 2% and they're charging you 20% for that, for not paying it off. Correct?
Okay.
So you're just sitting there losing money every month at the bank. So get rid of that car loan. The only disadvantage is if that's the only money you have, then I don't want you to give them all the money you have, because emergencies happen and I don't want you to have to get rid of your car for an emergency. So I want you to pay it down but still keep some emergency money. Because I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want you to have to, sell your car for an emergency. So pay it down, and then when something else comes, pay it down again. But have some emergency, but don't use all your savings to pay the car off.
Okay. Also, Carl, I just wanted to say, check Walmart. Well, they usually have good, or some Walmarts have auto places, and you could get good price on oil changes there. So just to let everybody know about that.
All right. Thanks, Jerome. Coming up on the break, we're going to take the break, but when we come back, a real quick question for you, JB. And I just posted, somebody sent me a story out of the New York Times about the economy, saying the economy is unequal. We know that already. And the poor people face inflation. And at the end, they're going to be the first to be fired. So I want you to talk about that. And then Dr. Taylor will be with us 6 away from the top there. I'll be back in 4 minutes right here in Baltimore on WOLB, in the DMV on FM 95.9 and 1450. WOL, where information is power.
To say, I don't know. That's Jerome. I know. It's a perfect house. Yeah, Jerome.
Traffic sponsored by Attorney Big Al, the law office of Richard Klein. Baltimore Washington Parkway, a little sluggish southbound at 197. Slow right across the Beltway through the merger traffic on the way to Riverdale. Then better
That's funny.
on the 410 into Northeast. 50 John Hanson Highway looks good from Bowie to the Beltway. Little slow from 202, which across the Anacostia River and on to New York Avenue. A little break at South Dakota Avenue. Close to the lights at Bladensburg Road and West Virginia Avenue. You're going down DC 295. That's going to be bumper to bumper from Eastern Avenue past East Capitol Street. Lanes all open. Slow on Suitland Parkway after Naylor Road to Stanton Road, and then a little better to South Capitol Street. I-295 still sluggish in Blue Plains. Better to the 11th Street Bridge, but now heavy on the westbound Southeast-Southwest Freeway. Sunny today, going up to 92. Clear tonight, 75 for the low. 78 now at Reagan National. Attorney Big Al, the law office of Richard Klein, reminds you to call 1-800-HURT-123 if you ever get into an accident. Attorney Big Al will fight the insurance company to get you the compensation you deserve. I'm Robert Workman for News Talk 1450 AM WOL. Information is power.
This message is sponsored content.
Real talk drives real change. This era calls for us to face the issues. On August 28th in Philly, we're tackling mental health, therapy, and spirituality. Can they coexist? This conversation is followed by a live performance on Sunday, August 28th at the Miller Theater.
Daily choices matter.
Community love at 4. The show starts at 5 p.m. Get free tickets, stream it, give support, or find help. Visit change.news1.com. Real talk drives real change. Fully charged by Chevrolet.
Hey, hot dogs, sausages. Maybe instead of using a stadium vendor to feed the office, we should have just ordered through Easy Cater. I got nachos here. Nachos?
Yeah, right here. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was fun at first, but it is kind of disruptive.
Cheesesteak here. Who wants a cheesesteak? Over here. Coming at you.
Oh, right in the face. Some food just doesn't work at work, but Easy Cater just does. Food for work on time and ordered from over 85,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
Vision loss is not something that you feel until it happens.
Most people lose their vision from diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma. Not at birth.
With macular
No, it's not.
you lose your central vision.
You have a blind spot right in the center of your face, so I can't actually see your face.
So even
I was wondering about you.
Became a big blur.
I'm glad you told me.
When I first was diagnosed with glaucoma.
That was funny. I should have known.
I had no headache.
That was funny. I should have known that was you, funny person.
11 million
Funny
people in the
Facebook
United
user.
States have macular degeneration.
You lose mobility.
I don't know, Jerome.
Changes your entire life.
So many eye disorders can be treated.
I don't know.
My husband tells me that I have beautiful brown eyes, and I don't want to lose that.
I don't know. I just felt like I knew. I was connected to Jerome. I felt like I knew.
Eating, working, living pain-free. These are a few of the things many of us take for granted. Yet for many
I had a
United States
connection.
military veterans, finding and affording oral health care is a challenge. Dental Lifeline Network is
I knew.
for dentists who can change
I knew we had a high
volunteer
interest
to
rate.
help people like Richard, a U.S. naval veteran who suffered severe PTSD after his service.
I know.
He
I
was
know one
hospitalized for
thing.
a period of time, and his oral and overall health are suffering. Because of congressional limitations, the VA can't.
I don't know why I'm saying Facebook user
Through our Will You
Restream
See
got to get
program,
their
we
stuff up.
focus on helping U.S.
It
military
usually
veterans like
brings it right
Now
over
we're
from
seeking more
Facebook.
general dentists and specialists to donate treatment to at least one veteran with
That's
special needs.
crazy.
When you volunteer with DLN's program to see one vet, we handle the details so you can focus on the care. If you are a dentist or know a dentist,
It's
please
not
share this
connecting
message
from
and
there,
help us
so
make a difference
correctly some reason.
Visit willyouseeonevet.org to learn more. That's willyouseeonevet.org.
Carl might kick me to the curb after this when he comes back. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
My brothers and sisters and mom and dad and grandpa and grandma need them.
Thank you, first responders. This is what I signed up for as a first responder. I am constantly worried about being exposed to this virus and potentially bringing it back into my home and my family. I'm going to continue going to work day in and day out and providing help.
Daily choices matter.
Please look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders. Love you.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another. Thanks.
Learn how you can help first responders in your community by texting BRAVE to 24365.
WOL, Washington, D.C. W240DJ, Washington. 95.9 WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda. WKYS, HD3, Washington. WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most ultimate. All right, let's go. Keep rocking. Keep rocking.
Good morning again, family. A minute after the top of the hour, Dr. James Taylor is on deck. Dr. Taylor's a Black Politics expert. We're going to talk politics with Dr. Taylor. But let's wrap up with J.B. Bryan. J.B., I'll forego my question, or actually about inflation, why the poor hit the hardest, and then unemployment's waiting for them. And folks, I posted that article from the New York Times on Facebook so you can read it. But I got a quote, question, I should rather, for you, J.B. The tweeter says, please ask your guest, will dividends increase now that the interest rates has been raised by the Fed?
Not necessarily. Dividends are just at the corporate discretion, so the dividends are corporate incentives for their shareholders. So definitely talk with your financial advisor. And if you are an investor who's interested in dividend paying investments, make sure you investigate that and investigate, should you reinvest or would you like to receive your dividends now? Look into ETFs that pay out dividends and look at the difference between bonds that are paying interest rates and paying interest, and if you want government bonds or corporate bonds, and the relationship between stocks and dividends and bonds and interest rates, and the bonds and interest rates versus dividends and corporations. But that I don't know exactly where you were going there with the two of those, but those are two different worlds. But that's definitely something that you should look into with your financial advisor, and I'll be happy to talk to you about that. Investigate Afroeconomics. That is something that we talk about often at our workshops. We have every Wednesday and Friday. They're always complimentary. And investigate Afroeconomics.com.
All right. Thanks, JB.
Sure.
Thank you for the information you shared with us.
Great. Definitely. Great question.
All right.
Wonderful.
Thanks, JB. And
thank you.
Shout out to all the folks who are online, who are still watching JB on social media. Thank you, JB. And thank you for all the folks, too, online who are watching JB on social media. I see all your names up there. There's a lot of...
Thank you. Great. Thank you. What? Carl is gone, y'all. Love it. We're going to end the stream. Y'all have a wonderful day. Paul's going to stop that. Thank y'all so much for sharing your morning with me. Check out afroeconomics.com. I'm going to be posting all the stuff for this week. So go to afroeconomics.com. Make sure you register so that you can